Economic Theories and Compensation Management. Classical School. Pioneered by Smith and Ricardo, it focuses on the concept of subsistence level of wages in the long run. Commonly termed as the natural price for labor, subsistence level is not limited to the expenses incurred for food alone. Both the pioneers agreed that in the short run, even though there may be a temporary variation in the wage rate, in the long run it reduces to the subsistence level. Marxian school. This school considers labor as the basic source of all value. Labor produces more than that needed for subsistence. The excess is what in Marxian terminology is known as surplus value, which contributes to capital accumulation, depriving workers from above subsistence level wages in their exploitation. Neoclassical school of thought. It considers wages as a price like any other factor of production, which is determined by the market forces. Labor supply depends on the disutility, hence it needs to be overcome by wages as an incentive. On the contrary, demand for labor depends on the marginal productivity of labor, which declines with the application of every unit of additional labor. Marginalist school. It is an extension of neoclassical thought which advocates the law of diminishing marginal productivity. At the equilibrium wage rate, aggregate supply of labor gets fully absorbed, that is the stage of full employment. Hence, wage rate gets adjusted implicitly to the full employment level. Keynesian school. This school, based on Say's law, subscribes to the view that supply creates its own demand. Hence, contrary to the belief that whatever is saved is automatically invested, the Keynesian school suggests that level of employment is dependent upon aggregate demand. At full employment, the level of income and consumption gets adjusted with the investment. Phillips curve. That's the wage rate on your left and the level of employment below. Phillips, based on the empirical study of British economy, concluded that wage rate starts rising once the level of employment is increased. He observed an inverse relationship between the level of unemployment and the rate of increase of the wage level. Valuation of employee compensation. Value can be determined by answering the following questions. Does the cost to the employer equal the value to the employee? What if the employee had to purchase the same benefit in the market? What if the employer wants to compare the cost of the benefits package of its employees to another employee or an industry norm? How does the value of benefits compute into total compensation? Equity in employment benefits. Economic theories on employee compensation and benefits frequently conflict. Neoclassical economists argue that market competition is the best premise on which to base employee compensation. On the other hand, institutional game theory or Marxist approaches argue that markets may not always be competitive. To reduce the problem of inequity, there is a need to ensure fair rules of pricing with the government intervention. Productivity. Linked employee benefits. Productivity. From an economic point of view, production refers to yield from each factor of production, each input, overall yield of the joint factors and resources enumerated above in combination. Factors to improve productivity. Nature and quality of raw material, basic nature of process employed, plants and equipment employed, efficiency of plant and equipment, volume, continuity and uniformity of production, utilization of manpower. Productivity measurement. Omni-factor model. This model gives a composite productivity index for all input and output costs of all products. While input costs are taken for all, output costs are determined on average marginal costs method. Surrogate model. This model primarily considers some qualitative factors to measure productivity. Factors such as satisfaction of investors, employees, customers, and suppliers are considered in qualitative terms. Linking wages to productivity based on these two models yields better results as organizations can objectively price labor and labor can also get its legitimate share of productivity gain.